There is a soul harboring a profound affection for you, yet they have deliberately chosen to keep their distance. And before your mind races to explain why, I need you to pause and take a steady breath, because the words you are receiving right now are far from a random occurrence. This specific instant, this delivery, and this timing is divine synchronization. It serves as validation. It is the reality your intuition has been silently yearning to hear, buried beneath the layers of chaos and the questions left hanging. There is no coincidence here. Nothing in this space is arbitrary. Occasionally, the cosmos whispers its secrets, and it is only when you cease your running that you can finally perceive what your spirit already comprehends. There exists a figure in your narrative, or perhaps one who once stood agonizingly near, who bears a devotion they are unable to articulate, an intensity of feeling they are unequipped to navigate, and a yearning they cannot scrub away, regardless of the miles they place between you. Do not mistake their quiet for apathy. Their silence is actually a vessel overflowing with emotion. Paradoxically, as their adoration deepens, their retreat widens, as if loving you has transformed into both a magnificent gift and the most daunting burden they have ever encountered. This is the reality their heart knows, but their actions try to hide. They stay away because you shook them to their core. You awakened something dormant, something buried beneath years of emotional armor. As Carl Jung once said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And that is exactly what happened. You changed them. You opened their eyes to parts of themselves they never allowed anyone to see. You broke open the walls they spent years building. You touched a part of their soul that even they did not know existed. To them, you are not just a person. You are a mirror showing them both what they want and what they fear losing. You are the reflection of their hopes and the reflection of every wound they've never healed. They have never felt something this intense, this real, this uncontrollable. You disarmed them. You stripped away their defenses without trying. With you, their soul feels naked, transparent, unprotected. And vulnerability is something they were never taught to view as safe. You were not something they planned. You were something they collided with. And from that moment, everything changed in ways they cannot explain. They did not expect to feel electricity when you spoke. They did not expect to feel peace when you were near. They did not expect that your absence would shake them harder than any breakup they have ever experienced. They did not expect that their heart would beat differently when they heard your name. They certainly did not expect that losing you, even temporarily, would feel like losing breath. So why are they silent? Why are they distant? Why do they disappear while carrying feelings so strong they can barely control them? It is not rejection. It is fear. Fear of the power you have over them emotionally. You became the one person whose opinion matters more than anyone else's. The one person whose voice can calm them or destroy them. The one person whose absence hurts more than any argument ever could. You are not easy to replace. You are not forgettable. And loving you feels like jumping off a high cliff without knowing if there is water below. So instead of risking the fall, they freeze. They believe deep in their heart that you deserve someone stronger than they are right now. Someone healed, someone steady, someone who does not come with emotional baggage or unfinished wounds that could spill into something beautiful and break it. Their distance is not anger. It is guilt. It is the quiet confession of someone terrified that loving you might turn into failing you. Inside their silence lives a voice whispering, "I'm not enough for them yet." They replay conversations. They replay mistakes. They replay moments when they could have tried harder, spoken honestly, chosen courage over fear. And every replay ends with the same question. What if I hurt them because I'm still broken? They don't want to bring chaos into something sacred. They don't want to bleed onto someone who did not cut them. They don't want you to pay for wounds you didn't create. They want to face you as the best version of themselves, not a version built on emotional survival, fear, and confusion. They want to return whole, not fragmented. Their heart is loyal to you, but their mind is terrified of you. They feel your connection in places logic cannot argue with. They feel you energetically, spiritually. No matter how far they go, you follow them internally. Every quiet night, every long drive, every sudden memory brings you back. No distraction works for long. No substitute satisfies. No distance truly separates. They have tried to convince themselves that what they felt was exaggerated, temporary, dramatic. They told themselves it was all in their imagination. But the more they distance themselves, the stronger the pull becomes. As Carl Jung wrote, "What you resist persists, and they resist you constantly." They resist the urge to call, the urge to confess, the urge to surrender. But the love persists, the longing persists, the connection persists. Their silence is full of emotion they cannot contain, full of words they cannot speak. They carry emotional wounds they never revealed to you. Their heart is full of past betrayals, broken promises, disappointments that taught them love equals pain. Someone once taught them to associate closeness with destruction. Someone once convinced them that trusting was dangerous. And you feel too important, too risky, too priceless to lose. So instead of risking heartbreak again, they shield themselves from you, even if it hurts. They are not testing you. They are testing themselves. They want to know if they can stand without you before they stand with you. If they can control the storm inside before they bring it anywhere near your peace. But beneath all the pretending, beneath all the distance, beneath every silent night, they lie awake. They are collapsing under the weight of everything unsaid. They believe that if they step toward you, even slightly, everything will change. And they are not ready for that change. They know that one honest conversation, one moment of truth, will make their feelings undeniable. And once that truth is spoken, there is no turning back. You are not someone they can love halfway. It is either all in or nothing. And they are terrified of all in. They wait for the perfect time, but no time feels right. They tell themselves, maybe when I finish healing, maybe when life calms down, maybe when I'm better. But as Carl Jung also said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Healing does not wait for convenience. And the truth is, they want you now. They always have. Even from far away, they wonder if you still feel them. They wonder if your heart still carries their name. They wonder if you still check the door of your soul, hoping they might walk back through it someday. They wonder if you miss them, even a little. And here is the truth, buried beneath every heartbeat they hide. They are coming back. Not when they are perfect, not when life is flawless, but when the weight of not having you becomes heavier than the fear of losing you. When silence becomes unbearable. When love becomes louder than fear. When destiny speaks louder than hesitation. This story is not finished. Your chapter is not closed. Love does not end in silence. It only waits there. What they will never admit out loud is how much this distance is costing them. They act composed on the surface, pretending life is moving forward without disruption. They smile in public. They laugh when they need to. They play the role the world expects them to play. But when everything gets quiet, when the noise fades and the world pauses for just a moment, the truth crashes into them like a wave they can no longer control. They feel your absence like a heartbeat that suddenly goes silent. They replay moments with you not because they want to live in the past, but because those memories are the only place they still feel alive. They miss you in ways they cannot explain. They miss your voice, not because of the sound, but because of the way it softens something inside them. They miss your presence, not because of physical closeness, but because of the way the air felt lighter when you walked into the room. They miss the silence between you, the silence that never felt empty. They miss the way you understood them without needing them to translate their thoughts into carefully chosen words. With you, everything felt like home. And that is not something they have ever experienced with anyone else. And yet they stay away. They hold themselves back, not because they want to, but because they believe coming toward you would change everything. You are not a temporary emotion. You are not a fleeting moment. You are a turning point, a doorway, a destiny shift. Once they choose you, life as they know it will never be the same. And change, especially the kind that demands honesty, vulnerability, and surrender, terrifies them. They are afraid of opening up wounds they have kept locked for years. They are afraid of letting you see the darker corners of their heart, the parts that feel unworthy of love. As Carl Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Their unconscious fear has been steering them, convincing them running is safer than revealing, and yet their heart keeps pulling them back to you, trying to bring into consciousness everything they buried. This is not someone who stopped caring. This is someone who cares so deeply that their emotions have become a battlefield. Their mind tells them to protect themselves. Their heart tells them to surrender. Their past reminds them how much it hurt to lose love once before. Their soul whispers that you are different, that this connection is rare, that what lives between you is not ordinary. At night, when they lie awake staring at the ceiling, they think about the words they never said, the apologies they owe, the confessions they swallow, the moments they wish they could redo. They think about reaching out. They imagine what they would say if they could speak without trembling. They draft messages they never send. They type paragraphs and delete them. They stare at your name, waiting for courage that never arrives. They rehearse conversations they are too afraid to start. Every attempt ends with the same fear. What if it's too late? What if you've moved on? What if the door is already closed? And yet, despite that fear, they cannot stop hoping you still feel them. They wonder if you still sense the connection beneath the silence. They wonder if your heart still recognizes theirs the way theirs still recognizes yours. They wonder if your soul still reaches for them in quiet moments. There are nights when they swear they feel you thinking about them. Moments when your name drops into their mind with no warning, as if pulled by something unseen. They are terrified of losing you permanently. Even though they are the one creating the distance, it is a strange form of self-protection, pushing away the very thing that could heal them. They live in a paradox. They run from what they most want. They silence what they most need to say. They starve themselves of the love that could transform them, because they have never believed they deserve something that real. If they appear cold, detached, indifferent, understand that it is an act, a mask, a survival strategy. They learned long ago that showing emotion equals danger, that depending on someone equals vulnerability, that loving deeply equals heartbreak. So they built walls, high walls, thick walls, and then you arrived and cracked them effortlessly, without trying. That is why they pull back. That is why they disappear. They are trying to rebuild their defenses, but every attempt fails because their heart keeps choosing you. No matter how hard their mind tries to control it, they are waiting for the right time. But they know deep down there is no perfect timing for something this powerful. They keep telling themselves they need more time to become who they want to be. More time to heal, more time to grow, more time to figure out how to love without fear. But time has become their prison. Every day they wait, the distance grows harder, not easier. Every day they stay silent, the pressure builds. Every day they pretend not to care, the truth becomes heavier. They imagine coming back in a grand moment, honest, strong, ready, fearless. They imagine walking toward you, knowing exactly what to say, without trembling, without doubt. But life does not wait for perfect courage. Love does not wait for perfect healing. Sometimes the only way forward is to leap without knowing where you will land. And they are slowly realizing that waiting for perfect is how people lose what matters most. So they stand in stillness, longing forward, but stuck in place. They feel the universe pushing them toward you, but fear pulling them backward. They are trying to quiet their demons long enough to hear the truth beneath them. They are trying to decide whether they will continue living behind emotional armor or finally surrender to the connection that refuses to die. They think that maybe you have grown stronger without them, that maybe you learned how to let go, that maybe you don't look for them anymore. And the thought of that possibility breaks them in ways they don't know how to repair. They would rather punish themselves with silence than face the pain of finding out they waited too long. But beneath all of that, buried under layers of fear and hesitation, one truth remains unshakable. They never stopped loving you. The distance is not because love faded. The distance exists because love grew too intense for them to carry without collapsing. They are not gone. They are gathering themselves. They are piecing together courage. They are fighting an internal war between fear and destiny. They are learning slowly and painfully that silence does not protect love. It starves it. And there will come a moment, quietly or suddenly, when something inside them breaks open, and they will no longer be able to stay away. A moment when their heart becomes louder than their fear. A moment when the weight of not choosing you becomes heavier than the risk of losing. And on that day, the distance will end. They are coming back. Not halfway, not uncertain, not fragile, but real, present, honest. Because this story is not done. Your chapter is not over. Love like this does not disappear. It transforms. They are changing in silence. They are transforming in places you cannot see. While you may think nothing is happening, everything inside them is shifting. Distance has forced them to confront themselves, and that is one of the hardest battles a person can ever face. Being without you has become a mirror reflecting everything they ran away from. It has exposed the truth they tried to bury. It has peeled back layers of emotional protection they spent years constructing. And now they are standing face to face with themselves, with no one left to blame, no distraction left to hide behind, and no escape from the reality that bring them is the greatest pain they have ever known. So instead of running outward, they began running inward, quietly, slowly, reluctantly. They are learning who they are, without pretending. They are realizing that what they thought was strength, shutting down emotions, remaining distant, being independent to the point of isolation, was actually numbing. Survival mode, a shield against heartbreak. But survival is not living. Numbing is not healing. And silence is not strength. They look back at you and see someone who made them feel safe enough to hope again. Someone they cannot lie to. Someone the distance gave them space to reflect. And now they see with clarity the things they could not see while tangled in fear. They realize how deeply they felt seen by you. And that frightens them, because being seen means being vulnerable. Being vulnerable means having something precious to lose. They are slowly understanding that the real danger is not losing you, but losing the chance to have something extraordinary because they were too afraid to try. And yet that is the journey they are now being forced to take. They realize they cannot love you fully until they face the parts of themselves they always avoided. They cannot build something real while still protecting themselves with emotional armor. They cannot step toward you carrying the weight of unhealed wounds. So they are learning. They are unlearning. They are breaking down patterns they once believed were permanent. They feel the universe pulling them out of their old identity, pushing them through discomfort, pain, introspection. It is pain. They were afraid of being loved because they were afraid they were unworthy of it. They are confronting the shadow within, the part of themselves Jung called the hidden, repressed, and inferior aspects of the personality. But you shattered those beliefs just by being who you are. You made them feel safe enough to be human, and that terrified them more than anything else ever has. In their quiet moments of reflection, they remember the softness in your voice, the patience in your presence, the understanding in your silence. You felt they didn't know how to receive something real. They once thought love was supposed to be complicated, dramatic, uncertain, because that was the only love they ever knew. But they were not afraid of you leaving. They were afraid of failing you. They were afraid of letting you down. They were afraid that you would look at them closely and see flaws they have always been ashamed of. But what they have slowly realized is that you never asked for perfection. You never needed them to be flawless. Love is not about perfection. It is about willingness. It is about every day they stay awake. They feel the emptiness of that choice. Every morning they wake up without you. They carry a weight they can no longer justify. Every night they fall asleep thinking of you. They understand that love like this does not come twice. Their big distance is not giving them control. It is destroying the very thing they are trying to protect. They feel the universe tightening around them, forcing movement, forcing growth, forcing truth. They feel the pull intensifying, the connection growing louder instead of fading. What they thought time would weaken, time has strengthened. They know now that life does not wait forever. Opportunities do not knock twice. They are learning the painful truth that Carl Jung warned of. There is no birth of consciousness without pain. And through that process, one understanding has become louder than fear, louder than hesitation, louder than silence. They cannot heal without honesty. They cannot move forward without courage. The fear is losing strength. The heart is gaining ground. The silence is cracking. The distance is thinning. Something inside them is preparing for the moment when they stop running, when they turn around and face the very thing they have been avoiding. It will not be with uncertainty. It will not be with half-truths or guarded emotions. It will be with clarity, with transparency, with the kind of honesty that only comes after a long battle with the self. Because what they feel for you is not a phase. It is not fantasy. It is not temporary. It is a calling, a soul recognition, a connection that defies distance, silence, and time. And the silence they once believed would protect them has become unbearable. The distance they once thought would give them clarity has become suffocating. Every day without you feels heavier than the day before. Every moment spent pretending they are fine feels more impossible to maintain. What they tried to numb is now overflowing. What they tried to ignore is now loud enough to shake them awake. They can feel the shift, the turning of the internal tide, the collapse of every excuse that once allowed them to hide. There is a moment in every transformation when remaining the same becomes more painful than the fear of change. They have reached that moment. Their mind is tired of fighting something too powerful to defeat. They are beginning to realize that they are not protecting themselves by staying away. They are losing themselves. They are losing time they will never get back. When the world stops for a second, and their mind has no distractions left to cling to, they find themselves breathing your name without thinking, reaching for their phone without meaning to, searching their memories for the sound of your laugh, the softness in your eyes, the warmth they felt simply being near you. They replay the things they wish they had said, the moments they could have chosen honesty, but chose fear instead. They see now how they pushed away the very person who saw them clearly, who accepted them without conditions, who made them feel understood in a way no one else ever has. They think about the conversations you never finished, the questions left unanswered, the emotions that never found words. They imagine what would happen if they reached out. And that thought terrifies them and comforts them at the same time. They wonder if your voice would shake, if your eyes would soften, if your heart would recognize theirs. They wonder if there is still space for them in your world, or if they waited too long and lost their chance. The thought of the battle between fear and regret. They are beginning to see that every time they silence their feelings, they are betraying themselves. Every time they choose distance, they are choosing pain. Every time they deny what they feel, they are denying the truth of who they are. They are tired of carrying the weight of what-ifs. They are tired of living half alive. They watch your life from afar, quietly, without drawing attention. They check your presence without leaving fingerprints. They read your words and search them for clues. They wonder if you still smile at memories of them. Some days they swear they feel you thinking about them, like energy moving through the air. Other days, they fear they have already become a memory. But regardless of the answer, the pull remains. They are beginning to understand something they were blind to before. You do not replace a soul connection. You do not bury destiny. You do not outrun the person who was meant to meet you. They are realizing now that resisting this connection has only created suffering, not safety. Love is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be surrendered to. They feel when courage finally grows louder than doubt, when the heart refuses to be silenced any longer, something inside them is preparing to speak, preparing to return, preparing to step forward, even if their hands shake, even if their voice trembles, even if their heart feels exposed. And the return may not be dramatic. It may not be planned. It may not come with rehearsed words or perfect timing. It might arrive like a sudden flood, an unexpected, overwhelming, unstoppable. It might be a message typed without thinking and sent before panic can delete it. It might be a phone call at midnight. They know now that real love is worth the risk. That silence costs more than honesty. They know that love without vulnerability is not love at all. They know that life punishes those who choose safety over truth. They know that they must step into the unknown without guarantees, without certainty, without control, because losing you is the one outcome they cannot survive. The universe has been pushing them toward transformation, and they are finally listening. Coincidence after coincidence has led them back to your memory. Signs, words overheard at random that sound like messages. Moments of déjà vu that feel like guidance. Every path leads them back to you. And they are beginning to understand that destiny does not whisper forever. Eventually, and when they will come back whole, or at least willing to become whole. They will come back honest, ready to say the words they swallowed for too long. They will come back present, not running, not hiding, not pretending, because they finally see the truth they could not face before. Life was silent, not because time healed everything, but because time revealed everything. And when they arrive, everything will change. And now everything inside them is moving. Every instinct that once told them to run is now pushing them to return. Their heart, it is something you step into. And stepping into it requires courage, not perfection. They wake up now with a sense of urgency they cannot explain. Something inside them whispers that waiting any longer is dangerous. And if they do not act, regret will become their companion for the rest of their life. They have lived long enough to know that some opportunities never return, and some people are not replaceable. Healing happens when someone is brave enough to let themselves be loved. Healing happens when they stop running from connection and allow themselves to be seen fully and truthfully. Healing happens when they choose honesty over hiding. They picture the moment they will speak, not in fantasies, but in clarity. They imagine standing in front of you, not with rehearsed lines, but with the raw truth that has lived in their chest for so long it feels impossible to contain. They imagine saying the words that tremble inside them. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready. They imagine their voice breaking. And they imagine yours softening. They know now that the connection you share is not ordinary. It does not fade with silence or weaken with time. It grows, and it has become a living force. Something neither of you chose consciously, but something both of you feel undeniably. It is the type of connection that rewrites the direction of a life. The type people spend years searching for and never find. And it was transformation. You were not simply someone they cared about. You awakened a part of them that had been asleep for years. You stirred their soul, and once the soul awakens, it cannot go back to sleep. They reflect on how strong they tried to appear, how guarded they became, how tightly they held their emotions in their fists. And they see now the foolishness in that. They see now that running only created the illusion of safety, while guaranteeing the reality of loss. Every morning without your presence reminded them of everything they threw away out of fear. Every night without your voice echoed with everything they still wanted to say. They thought distance would help them forget you. Instead, distance carved your name deeper into them. They thought silence would make the feelings fade. Instead, it does not disappear because someone is afraid. It waits patiently, quietly, but it does not wait forever. There is a moment, a final moment, when the door begins to close, and they feel that moment arriving now. They are ready. It may begin with something small, a message that says, "Can we talk?" A call, a moment. When they come back, they will come back real. They will come back open. They will come back humble, willing to listen, willing to speak, willing to hold what they once feared they would drop. They will come back with clarity, not confusion, with gratitude, not hesitation, with devotion, not doubt. Because they know now, this is love. This is connection. This is soul-level destiny. You were never merely a chance encounter. You were a profound recognition of the Spirit. You arrived in their world like a divine signal, a presence that permanently altered their trajectory. You became the variable they could never replace, regardless of how desperately they attempted to move on. And the ultimate truth pulling them through the silence is this: they are returning. Not because they are fully prepared, not because the timing is flawless, and not because the damage is entirely repaired. They are coming back because true affection refuses to wave the white flag, and because the heart instinctively navigates back to its true home. Because destiny is stubborn and refuses to accept a refusal. Because the agony of your absence has finally become a weight too heavy for them to shoulder alone. They are returning because they have finally grasped that genuine connection is the only thing worth bleeding for, the only gamble worth taking. And when they finally stand before you, there will be no more evasion, no more withdrawal, no more fear. Only raw truth, only vulnerability, and love finally voiced rather than entombed. Your narrative has not reached its conclusion. The final page has not been turned. This bond is far from expired. In fact, it is barely starting to breathe.